Desert Dolphins. Thank you, Dave. I'm glad you remembered that. Welcome to the first seminar for the Desert Dolphins photo seminar. It's titled Photographing People, and that's my expertise. So with that, let's share our screen. Dave?
By the way, I think I hear a TV set in the background.
Yeah.
Do you need us to mute? Do you need us to unmute ourselves?
No, not really.
You should have permission to share screen. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. So let's start from the beginning. It's June 11th. We're talking about photographing people. Let's see if we get this going here. Oh, I have to get the right keyboard going. Why am I qualified to teach this? Well, I've been photographing people since 1977, which I don't want to put how many years that is. I've done weddings, schools, portraits, yearbooks. If it has to do with people, I've probably photographed it at one time. So, and 50 years of experience. And this seminar is all about tips on photographing people. It's all about the basics, nothing complicated. And it's all subjective. What I think is a good picture, you may not think is a good picture, and that's up to you. This class isn't about cameras or artificial lighting. Cameras will be next month by someone else. But on this particular one seminar, it's for any camera. It can be a phone, it can be a compact, it can be a DSL. So it's for anything. So the first question that I pose to everybody, what makes a good portrait? Anybody know? There's going to be a question and answer, so feel free to answer. What makes a good portrait, you guys?
That people look natural and not posed.
Okay. Anybody else?
Lighting.
Okay.
Focused on specifically the eyes.
Thank you, Abby. That's what I was looking for. One last comment. Anybody else? Okay, with that, what makes a good, it's going to be hard. What makes a good photograph? Well, that all depends. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. It's a quote by Margaret Wolfe Hungerford, who was an English author in 1978. So it all depends. But number one, it has to be in focus. There's no way you can make a good photograph if it ain't focused. And this one's a bad picture right off the top. Something like this is a good picture because it is in focus. Her eyes are in focus. Exposure. You can't have an underexposed picture, although granted, in today's age, you can go into Photoshop, a lot of your different programs, and you can adjust this, but it doesn't really look natural. Your goal is to get it right the first time. You don't want it overexposed or too light like this. You want it correctly exposed. And there's a good shiny face there that's correctly exposed. You want to frame it correctly. So you don't want the top left picture is somebody took a picture and cut off the heads. The picture of Dave Stevens, to me, part of that picture is his hat, and somebody cut off his hat. You have, when you're trying to be creative, to tilt your camera. Well, when I look at this camera, I want to tilt my head because it's not quite right. So you want to center the image. Now, this one has too much headroom in my book. Half the picture is wall space. So you want to make sure you center your picture correctly. And that means with this one, all you need to do is to tilt your camera downward and you get a lot more of what was going on. And at the same time, you need to think about, what are you trying to capture? Are you looking for a print to hang on the wall? So something formal? Do you want to put it on social media? This is from the dive party a couple of years ago. Do you want to remember a moment in time, an event, or do you want to picture a landscape? So these are all things to think about before you even take a picture. And this is the way I was trained. So depending on what you want, that's where you go. So here are some basic, it's traditional pictures. These are not the creative stuff that you find in weddings nowadays of the flowing veil. These are just basic traditional portraiture. You want your nose pointed towards the camera. You don't want them turned sideways. You don't look out of the side of your eye. You want to make sure your subject is turned 45 degrees. It's more flattering than a picture if you're head on, a 45-degree angle. That helps draw your eye to the eye of the subject. Have the subject look directly at the camera, get their attention. Who wants to look at the side of their heads?
Mm-hmm.
This one, you want to fill the frame. The top one shows a lot of extra space around the subjects. So all I did was crop this. Which one do you think makes the better picture?
Bottom.
The one on the bottom, just crop it, fill the frame. Use the rule of thirds. Eyes should be in the top third of the frame or in the left or right hand side of the frame. So as a viewer, where does your eye take you? You want the focus to be right on the eyes. Watch for colors and sizes. In this particular case, you have the three with the uniforms and the one guy in the black. So you're centering. Your eye is drawn to that center guy, the guy in the black, plus the dog. You don't want any profile pictures. And I'll tell you, women really don't like profile pictures. And, the other part is it usually makes you look fat. And we don't, at this day and age, we don't want to look fat. So no profile pictures. You don't want mug shots. And this is a beautiful one. I had to steal that one. That was his passport picture,
Right.
but it's not real flattering. So what you're looking for is flattering pictures.
No, and the problem with passport photos, whenever I've
Oh, yeah.
gone to Walgreens to get my photo, I tell them if I'm kidnapped, this is the shot that's going to be broadcast on international TV. Make it a good one.
Yeah. So now you don't have to go to Walgreens. You can actually this is just a cell phone picture so you can do it online.
Yep.
It's really crazy nowadays. When you have two people in a picture, the picture should be vertical. People are vertical, not horizontal. So make them vertical. Take the picture vertically. But if you have three people, it should be horizontal. If you're going to do a headshot, make it just the head. 3/4 shot, make sure that you have a subject in all of that. Frame it. And if it's full length, don't cut off the feet. And I think I have some examples later on. So don't cut off the feet. That's part of the picture. What 3 things do I tell people? Fill it, frame it, and flash it. I don't know where I came up with that, but I believe that. Fill the frame. So top left, picture of Dave and what's his name? Yeah. So by getting in closer, you get to see more. In this particular picture that was taken, the scenery is not the subject, it's the people. So get close and then get closer. Fill the frame, shoot vertically. Here's a picture that had a lot of extra stuff. And I cropped it and it makes it much more interesting to me. You want to fill the frame. So again, shoot vertically and not horizontally where there's a lot of extra garbage on either side. So shoot vertically, fill the frame. So when you fill the frame, you want your eyes drawn to the center of the photograph. So that's what we have here. By tilting the heads together, it draws you to their eyes. Heads together. Even though Sharon's not looking at us, this, heads together. Tilt your heads together. Lean, another trick is have your subjects lean towards the camera instead of just standing upright, lean towards the camera, and it brings you into the picture. Cheek to cheek is another little tip. Go cheek to cheek with your subjects, and that helps. Bad thing about this picture is the exit sign in the back. Always look for the details. You can, in this particular case, could have probably turned a little bit, so we didn't get that. Or shooting a little bit more down, but I'm too short to shoot down. Another cheek to cheek. This was Lute Olson's daughter-in-law, Lute Olson's son's wedding. Groups, pose them in a V. Don't try to line them up equally, make a V or a semicircle, and that helps get everybody in and fill the frame. And for really big crowds, you have to layer them, have different layers. Such like this. That's a lot of people. If there's 28 of us, 29 of us, and there was probably 40 of them, that's a lot. And I use, if you can't see me, I can't see you. So that gets people, oh, if you can't see me, then I better get, slide over a little bit. Flash it. That's an important thing. Flash balances the background light with the foreground light or vice versa. So here's a picture, no flash, same picture with a flash, and it balances the light. Here's another one where I did not do one with a fill flash, but that's what should have been done. And that would have illuminated these people. But see, this one, I did a fill flash, and it gives us a lot more detail in the subjects.
Sometimes the problem is you expose to the background instead of the subject. Is that right?
Usually if you do a fill flash, it does balance out, but sometimes it's not equal, especially in today's automatic settings kind of thing. Back in the days, you used to set your camera to a certain f-stop, and that would help. So when shooting against a mirror or glass, you will want to avoid the hot spot like the one in the picture up there. All you have to do is to move to a different angle. Don't shoot head on. And I think, has anybody else experienced that?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
So all the time. So just move to a different angle so you're not shooting directly into the glass. Frame it. So let's talk about framing. This is a great shot. It's framed just differently. He's got his arms set up front, so not a lot of extra stuff. This is a good picture of Freaky was his name. So just a different pose that's used. And of course, this is a landscape picture that you can frame your subjects. When you start to take a photo, don't go up to your subject or just don't point the camera. Be prepared. Be ready to shoot when you approach your subject. You know what you want to take. Set your camera. It's not so important today because everything is auto this, auto that. But be sure that you're ready to shoot so that when you approach them, all you have to do is click. Look for the details. Look for the telephone poles. Look for the signs. Look for the sunglasses. Oops. So
one of the things that I have found is keep taking pictures even when they think you're not taking pictures. So take the 1, 2, 3 smile and you take the shot and then you just keep taking, because sometimes those candids are so much more fun.
Yes. And honestly, I don't like to use the 1, 2, 3 because there's a lag time and people get tired of smiling. Oh, how long do we have to stand here? She's counting. 1, 2, just do it, just click. And you're right, Nancy, it's so much easier than what it used to be. Because we don't worry about wasting film anymore.
Right.
So one of my biggest pet peeves are sunglasses and the hand around the waist. As you can see, Mickey there has got his hand on Shelley's shoulder. To me, it looks like a critter crawling over the top of the shoulder around the side. So all you have to do is you say, hey, put your hand in the middle of the back. So that's all you have to do there. Have them take off the sunglasses. It's much better. I like to see eyes.
Mhm.
Here again, here's a not so much accentuated because it's of the shot, but there's another hand. There's that spider coming over the top. Be aware of heights of individuals and colors of their clothes. If there's a height difference, don't be afraid to ask the gentleman to just squat down a little bit. Just spread your legs and squat a little bit so they're closer together, so they're head to head. Or just say, hey, get cheek to cheek. And usually that gets a good laugh out of them. And it's a little bit nicer. Clothes. It's nice when you can formally set them up. These guys had black and white and red, and you put the lady in the middle with the red. So, just be aware of some of those things that you can do. When you're doing like table shots or you're getting a group of people together, don't put the biggest, largest one in front. Put them in the back because that will make them look smaller in theory. So let's do a review. Anybody got any questions at this point? I feel like
Yeah.
I've gone this very fast. Question.
Yeah, Leslie, on the flash, so are you using filters to diffusion filters?
No. I have to be honest, Jack, when I photographed professionally, I had a strobe that had a filter over it. Yes. That eliminates the harsh shadows.
Right.
Lighting that's a whole different topic. So I didn't want to spend too much time on that. So anybody else? Okay, I'm going to go. Let's review. You want to pose people at a 45-degree angle, never a head-on or a profile. You want to go cheek to cheek, bring their heads together. Bring them into the eyes. Abby, your comment is eyes are the most important. That's my opinion. Have them lean into the camera. Oops. Fill the frame. Don't be afraid to shoot vertically and get close. And my comment to any kind of photography is get close and then get closer. You don't need all the extra stuff around them. Flash it, even indoors, even outdoors. And frame it. You want to draw your attention to the eyes. So based on that, when you get all these pictures, if you're going to use them to post, only post your best ones. I'll tell you a little story to those that went to the Philippines and Scandi divers. I was given the jump drive that they put all the photos on. I'll bet you there's 300 pictures on that jump drive. 90% of them are garbage. I don't need to see all those. I mean, they're just garbage. So only show your best. If we all know Greg Sherman and, he posts his 3 pictures, well, how many pictures did he take to get those 3? He probably did 3,000 pictures.
Right.
Don't show your crap. We don't want to see it. So only post your best ones. Using what we've just reviewed, let's critique the following photos. Is this
Wait
a
a
good
minute.
picture? Not.
Wait a minute. What if the crap is the best I've got?
Well, yeah, but Shell, you do pretty good. In your case, you have family that post them in collages kind of thing. So they only post the best. So is this a good picture?
Could be center framed a little more.
Yes, I agree with you. Anything else? Any other comments?
I'd take the wings out of their head.
Yep.
I don't know how, but
They're all looking exactly at the camera. They've all got a smile on their faces. Crop it a little bit, and I think it's a good picture.
But
Thank
that's the
you.
good,
Yeah.
that's the good point, is taking a good subject picture also means taking a good background picture. You don't want something
Yes.
that's distracting or
Yeah.
bad negative space.
Yeah, I couldn't find one with the telephone pole coming out of the head. So that's
I've
really
got
what I
plenty of
want.
those.
Yeah.
Les, you should have asked.
I'll lend you a couple.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, here's one. Any comments?
No, good shot, good blending of colors and good, yeah,
Good composition.
good
Yep.
composition.
It should
Yeah.
be, it's a studio picture, right?
Yeah, it is. It is a studio picture. I made a fortune off of it too.
Oh,
Okay, so is this a good picture?
And
Too cluttered.
This is a typical table shot.
Yeah,
I
So the
probably would have had the guy in front move towards the back, maybe behind Merritt. It's just he's out of proportion with everybody else.
Well, yeah. It's a good picture for a table grab shot. I think they did it incredibly good on this one, but you have a point, put guy on the other end. The other thing that I would have done is maybe get rid of all the stuff on the table
Yeah,
a little bit more.
Especially
It
the
can be.
passport.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, Mary's
I-
passport. But, the photographer did get everybody looking straight on. Nobody's blinked. And what they were doing is each table was given a marine animal, and they assigned boats and stuff to that. So this is what they wanted to accomplish. So a fairly good picture. How about this one?
Cut them off at the knees, but
Yeah.
you did
Yeah.
get the whole sign. So maybe a vertical shot rather than horizontal.
Are backed up a little.
Yeah, let them step off the back. A vertical picture would have fit beautifully.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
yeah.
There's
But
too much,
smiles are
there's
smiles are
too much around.
Yeah. Yeah,
nicely framed though.
yeah. So it would have been a nice frame if it had been shot vertically. Here's another one.
Good sky,
Nice blue sky it was.
yeah, but too much.
They're not
the-
looking at the camera, can't
Flag
tell
it.
what they're doing.
They seem
Yeah.
not to want to have the picture taken.
I think we were too busy concentrating getting off the boat, but it
Without
is
hurting our knee.
fancy. So, so to me, even though the sky is beautiful, there's too much sky. If they had turned the camera and shot vertically, it probably would have been a much more interesting picture. Do I see photo display? One.
Well, lose the sunglasses, obviously.
Yeah,
That was part of the costume though.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the sunglasses add to the look, but I'd get rid of his hand.
and I'd crop it a little bit too to get rid of the left and right sides a little bit.
Yep. Cropping has a lot to do with pictures, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe a hand around the waist instead of the shoulder, and
Yep.
maybe not cutting off her wrist.
Can you actually crop his hand out, or would that make it too close of a crop? Go back.
Two. My internet's going in and out, guys. So,
Well, that's not good.
but anyway, yeah. With that, I do want to
Uh-oh.
photography. It's just there's a Bill and Nancy because they know how to pose in every picture that I have of them in the last 15 years, they've leaned in together, they've smiled, they've looked right at the camera,
Aw.
just like that. So I thought about including a bunch of your photos, but I did not.
We've been trained well, Leslie.
Shoulders down, chin out, say, ah, and that's all from Oprah.
Yeah, yeah. So with that, that concludes my portion. If you want to talk, let's talk some more about photographing people.
There's-
Last one is that we do have another seminar. Oh shit! Did I lose you?
Nope.
It's really July 11th. And Bill's going to talk about camera stuff.
Leslie,
That's actually July 9th.
Right.
Sorry.
Leslie, I'd like to add something
July-
with some of my formal
Okay.
training. One of the things a lot of my professors would comment on as far as doing portraiture is when you're cropping or framing, don't cut people off at their joints, the wrist, the
Oh,
elbow, the knee, the ankle. So either, crop tighter or be more
Yeah.
inclusive.
Yeah.
But the rule of thumb has always been don't cut them off at their joints. Just keep
So-
it in the back of your mind. And of course, rules are made to be broken. Sometimes there's
Yeah.
like, for instance, the shot of Jen with the sunglasses. Well,
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah. So I think if you look at this one, it's a headshot. That's exactly what it is. Whereas this one, it's a 3/4, even though I cut her elbow off, it's still a 3/4. But if you cut her off any tighter than that, it wouldn't have the same effect.
Well, and you wanted the church in the background.
Yeah. Yeah. So anybody else have comments?
Well,
I
that,
think that- Go ahead, sorry.
oh,
Go
Uh,
ahead.
no, I was going to mention one word that hasn't been mentioned is composition. And that's where this composition is important to the shot,
Yeah.
having that background.
Yep.
From my perspective is also to make sure you get the shot. And even if you can't get the best shot, get a shot, and then you can always post-process it later on to enhance it, fix it, whatever it might end up being. But, a lot of times you don't have that moment available to you again.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and to get a good composition the way you'd like or anything else, so maybe just get the shot and fix it later.
You mean post-process?
Sometimes that's easier said than done when you do a wedding.
Sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
wedding, you got to do it right.
Yep, absolutely.
So, Paul, do you have any questions? He's our silent person. Anything else? I mean, I hope you guys got something out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Oh, yes, yes.
good. 50 years of experience photographing and trying to put it all onto a PowerPoint, and then going back and looking for pictures that support that. And that was the hardest part for me, because I get into the pictures.
Well, and
And-
actually, Leslie, I have to tell you, one of the things that I appreciated as a photographer, you took charge. I mean, we had lots and lots of people and you knew what you were looking for, and you just took charge and said, you here, you there, you do this. Now everybody look at me if you can't see me. I mean, you just took charge of the situation. But then that's you.
Thank you. That's me. Yeah. That's right. But especially when you're doing weddings, but even if you're doing table shots, you need to take control and say, okay, I want you guys to go stand in the back so that you're all close together. You need to look at me and not someplace else. So, that's a big thing, is getting people's attention. I used to be shy, and that's kind of how I got out of that.
I don't believe that for a minute.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe when you were born.
No.
Somebody's arguing with me. So anyways, that's all on my seminar. It went very, very quickly.
Yeah, but it was
Any
good.
other?
Good. Leslie.
Thank you for
Good.
putting it together.
Thank you, Leslie.
Phil,
Okay,
Thanks, Leslie.
Phil Bonds is up for July 9th on
Right.
photography equipment.
Yep, Phil, I'm looking
Yep.
forward to your webinar.
mhm.
Well, I'm
So-
working on it.
It takes some time to do those things.
I'm sorry, Phil,
So-
this is a little off topic, but are you still accumulating camera gear to take to San Carlos or Rocky Point or Tuxedo or any of that?
Well, no, I passed along what I had that I kind of inadvertently picked up by going to Elmar Dive Center up there in Mesa. And I ended up, with boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff. So I haven't really, hopefully the stuff that I worked on that I sent down there is doing them some good. I don't really know, what the status of any of that equipment is or what they did with it. So,
Okay.
I'm doing well to try to, keep all my own stuff going. I was looking at just housing stuff the other night and I thought, good grief, I've got like 7 camera housings sitting here and some of them are pretty dated, but fortunately when I got them, I bought a good supply of particularly back O-rings to go on some of them because they're really, as the different manufacturers produce new stuff, a lot of their old stuff kind of gets outdated and stuff. So no, I really haven't. And we're putting this thing together for July. I think you guys can maybe guide me here or tell me I'm kind of on track, but most of the people that I see in the dive club aren't using big single lens reflex types of camera systems. We've got a few people here and there that are, but I thought for that particular seminar, what I would probably focus on more rather than the DSLR stuff. Obviously, there'll be the equipment. We'll talk about that a little bit, but what I wanted to do was really focus on the people who are using the smaller, the basically point and shoot types of cameras or housing their iPhones or their smartphones,
Yeah,
action cameras, that kind of stuff. Because from what I've seen when I'm out on the dive boats and stuff like that, is a lot of people are using that stuff, but there are things they need to be doing to make the equipment easier to use, and they also need to be doing some things with that equipment so that they can produce better pictures with it. And so that's going to be kind of the major focus. And I don't have a lot of pictures of the housing stuff that people are using for these smart cameras, but I have a friend who manufactures lighting equipment out in California, and I sent him an email here a while back, and I said, "Hey, I know you're making stuff and you're selling stuff to people who are using these, the newer variety of smartphone housings and stuff like that. Are you, do you have a bunch of pictures you can send me, you know, uh, showing different ways to configure those and stuff?" And he very well, it was kind of cool. He sent me about 25 images that I can incorporate in there, so I didn't have to go out and spend $450 to buy a housing. The other thing I'm going to do, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to come down to Tucson and I'm going to hit the dive shops down there and say, okay, guys, show me what you've got, so I can include pictures of what you've got in the presentation so that we can actually, if anybody's looking for gear, they'll know that they can actually get it locally rather than going through a big outfit like Backscatter or Reef Photo or one of those places. So
That's good.
we're going to
Sounds
work
good.
on that, and
Hey,
of
Bill,
course
I
we'll
would,
talk about lighting too. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would offer you when you come down to Tucson and look at the equipment, you know, if you want to swing by our place, I'd be happy to share our experience because we switched to iPhones probably about 3-4 years ago now. And a lot of the stuff that we've even entered into contests is all off of iPhones. So life housing and that kind of thing. So if you want to see what our rigs look like, I'll be happy to, you know, go through that with you.
Okay, well, I haven't decided, looking at maybe next week. I don't know how you guys' travel schedule is, if you're gonna be out, you know, I've got a friend, all she does is dive anymore. Every time I talk to her, she's off on a dive trip, or I'll get emails from her, or texts, about issues she's, encountering with her, uh, aquatic, Nikon D850 system. She's finally getting better, so I'm not getting, emails or texts about, oh my God, I started to flood my housing. What do I need to do to dry everything out and stuff like that? So she's actually developing some skill, and her pictures are actually looking a lot better than they did initially as well. So,
Right.
you know,
Excuse me,
anyway, go
shall
ahead.
shall we close this photo seminar at this point?
Sure.
And if people want to stay on, we can.